If there's one thing I love about games is how they can surprise you for the good and the bad. You know the deal, sometimes you look at a game and think it's awesome just to find out that it is a bore fest, and sometimes you start a game expecting nothing, just to find yourself playing it non-stop. Hello and welcome my friends to The Flying Kick. I am Savino and today we will take a look at Radiant Guardians of Light, developed by the Spanish studio Chorus Games and released this week on Steam. Radiant Guardians of Light has a pretty simple premise. You are Einar, a young man living in the land of Hylia, who one day found yourself in the wrong side of a sword and ends up seeing his sister being kidnapped by a bunch of masked bad guys. While at first it may sound like a tale as old as Renegade, Radiant brings a lot of RPG mechanics to the table, which include a vast story and somewhat rich lore. You're not just a random guy, you are an adept, an apprentice of the higher elder of Hylia or Fana, who bestowed you her powers to fight the evil Gultar, a former hero of light, now corrupted by evil. You will count on the help of Quinn, a sorcerer who fought alongside Orphana 100 years before, but was turned into stone until you found her. I won't dive too much into the story, mainly because I don't want to spoil anything, but if you're up for a good tale, Radiant has one in store for you. The only downside here is the lack of voiceover for the many cutscenes, but that's totally understandable because there is a lot of story here and voiceover isn't cheap. But if the story isn't something you're into, you can quickly skip it by holding a button, so it won't get in your way. Visually, I like it very much. Yeah, I can see some of you saying that this looks like a mobile game, and you wouldn't be wrong. The developers, Chorus Games, have 11 years of experience creating mobile games, so it's expected that their first PC game would carry some of this heritage. And the game is pretty charming. The characters look pretty good, full of charm and expressions. The enemies, despite not being the most varied bunch, looks great and alive, like these guys here tiptoeing around to get to you, quote-unquote, stealthily. Look at this idiot, he thinks he's invisible. And this is something I like very much here. All the enemies have some kind of personality that they express by the way they walk or attack. There was clearly a lot of care when creating these enemies and I like it very much. And all this charm and personality are helped by some pretty good animation. It's not a fluid animation, you can see by the walk cycle that things are a bit janky, but this is clearly intentional and perfectly match the art style they are going with. It feels like stop motion taking place inside a colorful diorama. I said there's little variation when it comes to the enemies, and yeah, that's partially true. You have a lot of enemies here, but they are bound to certain regions, like these coconuts that you can only find in the jungle world. So yeah, there are a lot of different enemies, but you only find a handful of them per world, which makes things a little bit repetitive visually. The scenarios are also pretty nice. They are colorful, expansive, and of course have some nice parallax scrolling. Some of the levels will have torches and bonfires scattered around, and while there's no real-time illumination, the effects do the trick very well, creating some cozy and good-looking vistas. Yes, I know this style is not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm glad to see developers stick to their guns and do what they know. When it comes to the soundtrack, well, this is maybe the weakest part of the game for me. The music is exactly what you would expect for a generic soundtrack for fantasy games. It's not bad music, but it's nothing that you haven't listened to before and nothing that will stick with you after you play the game. To be completely honest, I had to return to my recording multiple times because I simply couldn't recall how the music sounded. I was much more impressed by the sound effects, which drew my attention away from the music while I was playing. The slashes, the ground pounds, the grunts of your enemies, it all sounds great here. It has a cartoon feel to it, which fits perfectly into the game, and it will really help sell the impacts of your attacks. And I really like the grunts when you kill your enemies. They don't scream or do anything exaggerated, they just emit a last sound while a cold blade pierces their bodies. Yeah, that last part was a bit dark, but it's true. Gameplay-wise, Radiant Guardians of Light is your typical hack-and-slash game, but with some RPG spices added to the mix. Here, you'll be thrown into a huge world that you must explore to open new levels. The world is divided in 4 biomes, each with its own set of enemies, as I explained before. You also have your base where you can visit to talk with merchants who will help you along the way. You start like every other game in this style, weak and basically defenseless. And to improve your stats, you have to kill enemies to level up and gather items to craft better armor, weapons, and magical trinkets like rings and necklaces. Yes, this game has a crafting mechanic too, which we will talk more about in a bit. Before that, I want to talk about the structure of the levels, which I found pretty cool. Almost all levels are interconnected here, and you can play them all without ever returning to your hub, if that's what you want. Each level will have a portal that can teleport you to your base or to any level you have already played, but you can ignore these portals and keep going to test your skills. It's a pretty cool system because you need to grind a bit, and this way you can do multiple levels in a row without being interrupted, and also it's fun to see how far you can go without dying. This is not only fun but also useful because you can get tons of experience, money, and crafting materials. And you will need all three of them. The experience obviously will be used to improve your stats with a nice and pretty big skill tree. And you will need the money and crafting materials to create new sets of armors and weapons. There are a ton of them for you to craft and upgrade. You can also craft some potions that will grant you some bonuses that last as long as you stay alive. These potions are extremely helpful and I recommend never leaving the village without them. Your gear will also greatly improve your stats, with some sets focusing on attack, others on defense or magic. You know how it goes. When it comes to the combat, I must say Radiant impressed me. I will be honest here and say that when I saw the trailers, I wasn't impressed. So much so that I didn't bother asking the developers for a review key, but in the end, in my eternal beaten up compulsion, I bought the game and decided to give it a go, expecting nothing. Well, I'm glad I bought it. In Radiant, the combat appears pretty simple. You have an attack, a jump, a dodge, and special buttons. You can also hold your attack for a nice area slash, which looks pretty cool. You have no run, but your character is fast enough and you can't grab your enemies. You also don't have complex combos here. Everything is apparently pretty straightforward, but if you keep thinking that way, you won't get far. Radiant is a very, very fast game, and you have to think fast because the enemies here are merciless and they can really, really pack a good punch. While most beaten ups or hack and slashes, which are a subgenre of beaten ups, debate me in the comments, the focus is mostly on attacks. In Radiant, the focus is on defense. Here, your dodge and jumps are your most important moves because, as I said, enemies can pack a punch and you really don't want to get hit, especially in the beginning where enemies can kill you with 2 or 3 attacks. And this made the game extremely dynamic. Here, you'll be rolling and slashing, jumping and slashing, and you better be moving all the time because the number of enemies the game throws at you can be overwhelming. One thing that I really like it here is how your enemies are well thought out. No, they aren't the smartest enemies you find around, far from that, but how they behave when in groups will compensate for their lack of brightness. Enemies will force you to move quickly, dodge often and jump a lot because when in groups their attacks will exploit all your weaknesses. Darts will be thrown at you from all directions, enemies will come running towards you to knock you down, while others will block every attack with their shields, forcing you to find a way to attack them from behind. I mean, it's chaotic as heck and extremely fun. It's really nice to see enemies so well done that can really put you in some dire situations if you don't think fast. And everything here works perfectly thanks to some nice and responsive controls. Now, one thing that I really found interesting here is that this game has an quote-unquote auto-lock feature. When you knock down or kill an enemy and another is coming from behind, your character will automatically turn around, allowing you to keep slashing non-stop. Honestly, this is not a feature I would like to see in most games, but here, thanks to the speed and the number of enemies the game throws, this feature feels natural and even desirable. Now, not everything is perfect here. While I think the game is extremely fun, it can also get a bit repetitive, especially if you play it for too long. The combat is fun, don't take me wrong, but the lack of variety of moves in the end makes things a bit dry. You see, as much as dodging and jumping around is entertaining, after 2 hours attacking in the same way can get a bit tedious. This could have been solved if the weapons you craft were, well, actual weapons. I was super excited when I was crafting my first new weapon, eager to see what new tricks I would be able to do, only to be extremely disappointed. Yeah, you have a huge number of weapons here, but they are just different skins that will make numbers go up. It was pretty disappointing to see that a spear, or whatever this weapon's called, is using it the same way as a sword or a mace. The same can be said about your other gears. Armors have no extra bonuses or different protections, it just makes some of your numbers go up. It is a wasted opportunity, if you ask me. After all, there's no point in keeping upgrade your current gear if you know that the next one is the same but better. Yes, you upgrade your current gear, you find plenty of materials to do it, and until you reach a new world with new and exclusive materials, you're stuck with that gear, so you're better off upgrading it, even knowing it will be discarded as soon as you reach a new area. The only item that will make a difference here is the necklaces. They can grant you some nice and unique bonuses that can really make a difference depending on which level you are and how you play the game. Another thing that I was a bit disappointed here was the second playable character, Queen. She is pretty useful even when playing alone because you can swap characters at any time you want, which will grant you an extra life. And trust me, you want this extra life because dying here will take you to the last portal you opened and cost you a ton of money. While Einar is willing to sport new looks when changing gear, she will keep the same visual, making her progress even less apparent. I honestly suspect she was added later in the game development because, while it's fun to play with her, she doesn't feel as fleshed out as Einar. By the way, for my keyboard players out there, there's no way to configure your keys, which is a shame, but I like that they gave the player the ability to move around with both WASD and the arrow keys. Overall, Radiant Guardians of Light is a fun game. While the game can feel a bit repetitive after a couple of hours, if you play this one, let's say, a chapter a day, you will have a lot of fun. The combat is fast, engaging, and the enemies will give you a lot of trouble, but you know, the fun kind. The game so far has only the story mode, which is a bit of a bummer, but the developers told me they are already working on new modes that should be coming in future updates. The game will cost you $20, which is the standard price for beaten ups these days, but in this case, I think it's fairly priced. Radiant is also come to all consoles, so rejoice Xbox fans, in a couple of months. And that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and tell me in the comments if you're getting this one. I will be back pretty soon with another review for you guys, but until then, I hope you all have an awesome week, and remember, keep it enough.